Swinburne University of Technology.
In this video we are going to look at the Shiny package, which allows us to build really nice looking web applications, and also if we learn how to use the R Markdown package, allows us to embed interactive R objects into Word and PDF documents. It's a very versatile, very handy package for us to know how to use. So it's produced by the RStudio people, so you can see here I'm on the RStudio website. There's lots of information on here. When we download it just like we would any other package in R. So here's our main page. Two really good pages within this we might want to look at. One is the gallery. So on here we have a whole lot of examples of different Shiny applications, and so these are really good for really seeing what kind of things can be done. These first few are fairly complex. The ones below are much simpler, and certainly very good for being able to have a look at the code and kind of figure out what's going on. The other page which is really handy is the tutorial. So there's 7 lessons of tutorial on how to use Shiny. And it really steps you through right from the very start, and is a really good resource for really getting to grips with how to use this package. So when we're using Shiny, we are going to have sometimes 3, sometimes 2 files. We will always have these two. One is called UI.R, and that controls the user interface, what we're seeing, and one is called server.r, and that controls the R code and kind of the R that's going on in the background. Sometimes you'll have a third file called global.r, and that's where you have some global variables that perhaps you need to be sharing across these other 2 files. Okay, so if we open one up, one thing we want to take note of is the name of the folder that our files are in. So in this case it's app2. Okay, so if I open one of them up, and in fact we can go back, we'll open both of them up. And so first thing we need to do, we've installed the Shiny package, is just make it active. So in order to run a Shiny app for the first time, we need to use the function called runApp. Before we do that though, we just want to check what our current working directory is. So my current working directory is actually the app2 directory, or the app2 folder. I need to check this because when I run my runApp, if my current working directory that I'm working in is not this one, I actually need to put the name in here. So if we were working in documents, then we would need to say app2, but because we're not, we can just run it like this. So hit enter, and here we go. Here is our very first Shiny app. It's a really very basic one. It's got our speed data from cars, and what it's doing is it's producing a histogram of the speed data, and it has 2 flexible things for us to do. One is number of bins for the histogram, so remember the bin is with the how many bars we're going to have, and the second one is the title. And you can see that I've selected 2 different kinds of input. It's just so we can see the kinds of things it can do. So if we grab this one, I've set it so that we can have either 5 or 8 or 10 or 12 bars. And you can see as soon as I change the value, it's changing how many bars there are. And the same with this one. This one's text input, and as I'm typing in text, you can see that the title is immediately updating. So this is what makes Shiny so useful and so powerful, is that if we want to either demonstrate some piece of data analysis, or particularly visualizations and graphs, or we want to have something that other people can go and play with, then we can set something up that just has the bits we want to change, and it will be just updating on the fly for us. We don't need to keep running code, it's all sitting there. So up here, open in browser, I can make it run in a web browser instead of in my studio window. It'll look exactly the same. And as I mentioned before, if we learned about R Markdown, we can actually produce it as an object that can get put into a Word document or a PDF as well, which is really handy. So let's have a quick look at these two files. We've run our app. So we'll start off and we've got our user interface, and I've purposely made this really simple. And the first few Shiny apps that you make, probably what you'll be doing is really just grabbing some existing code and doing a little bit of editing to it. So our Shiny UI, we want it to make a page, and then we have these two pieces of code here where they are specifying those two inputs. So first one is a select input, so it gives me the drop down menu. I give it a variable name, and we'll see this variable name is going to transfer over to the server file. We give it a label, number of bins and histograms, so we saw that on the page. We've got the choices there, and then we've got the default. So 5, 8, 10, 12, and by default we've got a 5. My next one, this one is text input, and so with our text input, again, what variable name is this going to associate to? We've got a label, and I gave it the default value of title, so there was something sitting in there. And then the last thing is our plot output. So remember over here we had number of bins, selector, we had our text input, and then we had the graph itself. And this stuff can get shifted around. I've just kind of dumped these one and next on the page, but we can shuffle them around. This doesn't have to go at the top, this doesn't have to go at the bottom. We can work with that as well. I've given my plot a name. I've specified how big it's going to be, just to have a little bit of control. And that's it. It's really pretty simple. That's what the user interface is going to look like. And then if we carry over our plot output, let's go over to our server file. And here we've got our Shiny server. It's going to have input, it's going to have output. So these files are going to be talking to one another, and if we have a global.r, that'll be talking to the both files as well. So here we're saying, well, we're going to have this plot. What kind of plot's it going to be? It's going to be a histogram. The data is the car's $speed, so just the speed vector out of that car's data set, built-in one. My brakes, input $n.brakes. So remember, over here we call this n.brakes, and so my input n.brakes is going to be specifying how many bars, and my main input $h.title, so that again carrying over from my user interface into here, drawing a histogram. So we could take this file. In fact, good exercise for you would be to practice having some other inputs in here, carrying over into some other options in our histogram, and just see how it looks. Okay, one last thing we want to cover, we just get rid of that. Once we've used the Run app, we've run our app once, we'll find that in our studio, get a little button here, Run App, so now I can just click that and it's going to run it. And if we come down, all that button does is run that same function. So here is our histogram again, and we can play with it however we like. Okay, so that is a brief introduction to Shiny, and I would encourage you to have a look at the Shiny site, have a look at those examples, and start playing around with it.
This has been a Swinburne production.